The book of Jeremiah, 50th chapter, 23rd verse. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against Yahweh. Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and teachers at Great Millstone for teaching me this 100% truth about our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, and the true reason why he's coming back, which is to save the elect remnant of the house of Israel from the enemies and those that hate him, and to take over the earth and universe, which was given to him by the mighty Yahweh himself, the Ancient of Days, wherein our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, will establish righteousness throughout the whole earth and universe forever unto the kingdom of the heaven of the Israelites. Shalom Akim and Akwaf. We one day closer to the kingdom. This is your brother Hadab Yarbad, back with a quick update on wars and rumors of wars, because things are popping off. We all know that the American government, aka Babylon the Great, so like it, let's go back to 50, have changed the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. And they say they going on the offensive instead of being defensive, which in our reality, they've been on the offense since this country was created. Now, you can read the book of Jeremiah 49, 50, and 51 on your own, because it's telling you about what's going to happen to this country, right? But we're going to stick to the main points for this lesson right here, right? Jeremiah 50 and 23. How was the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against Yahweh. And we go back over. This was going to happen. Jeremiah 51 and 2. And I will send Babylon, and I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Let's look up this word, fanners. So lucky.
Strong's H2114. Zur.
To be strange, to be a stranger, to become a strange, another stranger, foreigner, an enemy, loathsome, strange woman, prostitute, harlot. That's what we need right there. We need 8/2. Strange, another, stranger, foreigner, an enemy. All these countries that America is set to go to war against, half of their residents, most of their residents stay over here in Babylon the Great. Babylon, Jeremiah 51 and 7. Babylon have been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Now, we got 3 news clips. One coming out of the Times of India, the Jimmy Dore Show, and Dabu 7, right? Babylon the Great is back doing what they do best. Salaki. Let's get this real quick. Revelation 6 and 4. And there went out another horse that was red, the Edomites. Who controlled Babylon the Great? The Edomites. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. Right? These are the times that we are in, people. Israel. You can read the whole Jeremiah 50 and 50. Let's look at the titles. Jeremiah 50, prophecy against Babylon. Let's go to 49. You got a prophecy against Ammon, which is the modern day Japanese. You can read that on your own time. Prophecy against Edom. Read that. Start from 7 on down. Jeremiah 50, you can start at 1, right? The Lord is finna assemble all these other nations to come up against who? Babylon the Great. What is all this for? The controversy of Zion. Right? Let's go to 9. Jeremiah 50 and 9. For lo, I will raise up and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. It's going to be all going to be headed by Russia. And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrow shall be as a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Right? Controversy of Zion, folks. Jeremiah 50 and 11. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O you destroyers of mine heritage. Are we not destroyed? It's not the modern day so-called African American, Native American, and Latino as a people destroyed. Because you have grown fat as the heifer at grass and bellow as bulls. Let's drop down to 15. Shout against her round about. She hath given her hand. Her foundations are fallen. Her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of Yahweh. Take vengeance upon her. As she have done, do unto her. Now, you got conflict going on because they want a regime change. As they always do. Right? They starting to act like they little brother over there, them Israelis. They got a 7-front war going on. Now America, they got these 3 news clips. They finna try to go to war with Venezuela. They sending ships to Qatar because them Israelis and Babylon the Great finna try to go at war again with Iran. And they also trying to push through for them to send long-range missiles to Ukraine so they can hit deep into Russia. Jeremiah 50 and 23, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. Let's go to the New Testament. We already read Revelation 6 and 4. Let's go to Matthew 24, because this is more. Matthew 24 and 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. They threatening to go to war with them Venezuelans on a false narrative. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things shall come to pass, but the end is not yet. They're telling you it's about drugs, but it's about that oil. It's about that oil, right? So if it's about drugs, why ain't they killing drug dealers in America? Why ain't the police or the National Guards just outright eliminating drug dealers in America? Babylon the Great. Nope, but they blew up 3 boats they called drug boats. Come to find out they fishermen boats. Salaki. I'll read it again. Matthew 24 and 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, right? It's a famine going on right now in Sudan, in Palestine, and pestilences. Each day, new pestilences come up on the earth. Earthquakes, which was a major earthquake in the Philippines. So far, over 72 people have been put to sleep in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Now, you're going to hear this man Maduro tell you, the BRICS nations supporting them. South America, Colombia is supporting Venezuela. Colombia just ended all free trade with them Israelis. And I believe they kicking them out of they're kicking all their ambassadors out of Colombia. The Israelis just seized the flotilla that was trying to deliver aid to the people in Gaza. Who's saying something? Nobody. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Let's get a couple of more so we can play these clips. This ain't nothing but updates, people. Right? You can read all of the second Habakkuk, the second chapter, right? I'm just going to get to this point that I want to make for this lesson. Habakkuk 2 and 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him? What, all the nations that these imperialists trying to control? Venezuela said they will not be colonized. South America, they say South America going to stand up with them, right? So not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him, woe meaning destruction. Woe to him that increases that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Yeah. That's what's coming. That's what's coming to America. That's why the scriptures read. Let's go back. Let's go back. That's why the scriptures read, Jeremiah 51 and 6, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Let's get one more. And we're going to play these clips. Psalms 11 and 5. Yahweh trieth the righteous, but the wicked and him that loveth violence, his soul hateth. Upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and an horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. For the righteous, Yahweh loveth righteousness. His countenance doeth behold the upright. Verse 6 again. Upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and an horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. Right? The Lord finna hit them. Everybody gonna aim their missiles over here during World War III and shoot them over here at America because of all this wickedness. We all know that they trying to do a regime change over in Venezuela because Venezuela don't want to drink that wine that comes from Babylon. The BRICS nations, they also tired of it. They all clicking up. Let me get something else. Shalakia. Wait a minute. I think I want 17. Right? Pete Hegseth just gave his little speech to all the little 800 generals. They said, we going on the offensive, right? Psalm 17 to 10. They are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth, they speak proudly. He said they finna start attacking people as if they wasn't doing that already, right? Psalm 17 to 13. Arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. And whose blessing was the sword? Esau, Edom. And that's what he's been living by ever since. From men which are thy hand, O Yahweh, from men of the world, which have thy portion in this life, in whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and they leave the rest of their substance to their babes. See, their thought is that they're going to have superiority forever on the earth. They're going to rule forever. No, Lord finna destroy y'all ass. Let's go back. Hit it on this. Since y'all don't know, since y'all can't tell the signs, include that the Lord have given us in the Holy Scriptures to describe the nations, right? Revelation 6 and 4. Who else doing this on earth? Right? All the Western hegemony nations, they seek to keep control. Right? Now you got the Shia countries from Africa, Iran, you got Russia, China, supporting Venezuela, Colombia, right? They finna put an end to the imperialists, aka Babylon the Great, NATO, the EU, and most importantly, the Amalekites, them Israelis. Revelation 6 and 4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. They finna try to go to war with Iran. Let me get this before we even start. Let me read something. Look at that. 6.9 magnitude earthquake reported. Look at this. Breaking news. Trump orders generals to prepare for domestic deployment because they know with these unrighteous decrees they coming out with that the people, it's going to be sedition among men and civil war over here in America. They're going to need troops, boots on the ground, right? And let me get to this one article I saw. This is right here. Now, ain't this ironic? Trump signs order promising measures including military to defend Qatar. Why this wasn't in place when they first put the military bases over there? This came out yesterday. Donald Trump has signed an executive order vowing to use all measures, including U.S. military action, to defend the energy-rich nation of Qatar, though it remains unclear just what weight the pledge will carry, because they know that if them Israelis try to bomb Iran again, they're going to have to use them Air Force, the military bases in Qatar. That's why they sending ships over to Qatar right now, as we speak. What is Jake occupied with? Folly. The text of the order, available Wednesday on the White House website, but dated Monday, appears to be another measure by Trump to assure the Qataris following Israel's surprise attack on the country, targeting Hamas leaders as they weighed accepting a ceasefire with Israel over the war in the Gaza Strip. The order cites the two countries' close cooperation and shared interests, vowing to guarantee the security and territorial integrity of the state of Qatar against external attack. The United States shall regard any armed attack on the territory, sovereignty, or critical infrastructure of the state of Qatar as a threat to the peace and security of the United States, the order says. Now, why this wasn't in place when the Israelis bombed Qatar when they was trying to do a ceasefire negotiation? They only putting this in place so they can have another justification to try to go at them Iranians. Because if Iran bombs the military base in Qatar, they're going to say, it was a strike against Qatar. Now we got to jump into war. Watch out for their tricks, Israel. Now, let's get the disclaimer out the way. Let me get to the disclaimer. Fair use is in full effect. Everybody is hip to the ways of who? The people of war. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that may otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Fair use is in full effect. Guess what, Israel? We one day closer to the kingdom. Let me get one more. Psalms 10 and 2. The wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Right? And the Lord finna take them in their own devices. Shalom, Israel.
New report. U.S. could start bombing Venezuela within a few weeks. Sources told NBC News that the U.S. military officials are drawing up plans to target alleged drug traffickers inside the Venezuela. Of course, they say drug traffickers. They use that expression the same way the IDF uses the phrase terrorists. So when they say drug traffickers, they mean everybody everywhere inside Venezuela. That's what they mean. And just to let you know, even the New York Times, in paragraph 11, they told you the real reason that Donald Trump is ramping up this drug war with Venezuela. Even the New York Times. So they spend 10 paragraphs parroting Donald Trump and the security state and the economic hitmen in the United States. And then in the 11th paragraph, they tell you the truth. Here's the truth. Several current and former military officials, diplomats, and intelligence officers say that while fighting drugs is the pretext for the recent U.S. attacks, the real goal is to drive Mr. Maduro from power one way or another. The massive naval flotilla off the coast of Venezuela and the movement of the fifth-generation F-35 fighters to Puerto Rico has little to do with actual drug interdiction. They represent operational overkill, said the former head of the Pentagon's Southern Command.
That should have been the first two paragraphs of the whole goddamn story.
That should have been the first, of course, but it's not. It's the 11th and 12th. Rather, they are a clear signal to Nicolas Maduro that the administration is growing serious about accomplishing either regime or behavioral change from Caracas, said the admiral. Gunboat diplomacy is back, and it may well work. Mr. Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth have both said the military would carry out more strikes in the coming weeks as part of what they describe as a counter-narcotics and counterterrorism campaign. The military struck a third boat on Friday. So there it is. United States could start bombing Venezuela within a few weeks. The U.S. military could start bombing targets inside Venezuela, according to a report from NBC News that was published on Saturday. Sources told NBC that the U.S. military officials were drawing up options for striking alleged drug traffickers inside Venezuela. CNN also previously reported that the Trump administration was considering launching strikes inside Venezuela and was considering hitting targets with the goal of weakening Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. So none of this sounds like... So this is about oil, just so you know. They've been trying to overthrow Venezuela for 25 years now, and it's because Venezuela has more oil than Saudi Arabia. And once you know that, everything else becomes clear. And I can't believe how many people didn't read this in the New York Times. When the New York Times is telling you that our government is trying to overthrow another government, not for the reason our government says, you should believe them because they always lie to you and tell you the opposite, which is what they did for most of the article.
Chavez got in by an election. This guy got in by an election, and I bet their election was free and fair because once you have an awful terrorist enemy, such as, I don't know, America against you, it probably gets the people behind the second guy. Maybe they probably even like Maduro like that if it were not for this juggernaut coming down on them.
According to the numbers released by President Trump, 17 people have been extrajudicially executed by the United States. U.S. officials have told the New York Times that while combating drug trafficking was the pretext for the recent military action in the Caribbean, the ultimate goal is regime change in Venezuela. The policy is being driven by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who has long sought to overthrow Maduro, which is why we were upset when he picked Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. The NBC report said that some Trump administration officials were disappointed that the U.S. military escalations in the region had not impacted Maduro's grip on power or prompted any significant response. One official said that the White House has faced more pushback over bombing boats in the region than it expected.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Recent polling shows that the majority of Americans are actually opposed to U.S. military use of force to carry out regime change. And so here it is. So if it says a majority of Americans oppose using military force to overthrow Maduro, so 53% strongly oppose it, only 18% support it. 53% strongly oppose it. And then
the one in the gray, they went,
By party, 67% of Democrats strongly oppose it. Only 8% of Democrats support it. Independents, 52% of independents strongly, and Republicans, 38% strongly oppose. But guess what? Only 34% support this. So maybe a third of registered Republicans support this. 2/3 either strongly oppose it or they're not sure.
They're not sure is the most disturbing part of this whole poll.
I know. Most Americans would oppose invading Venezuela. 62% of Americans oppose it. Only 16% support it. 74% of Democrats oppose invading Venezuela. 9% support it. 63% of independents strongly or somewhat oppose invading Venezuela. 9% of independents support it. Republicans, 48% of Republicans strongly or somewhat oppose invading Venezuela. So that's an overwhelming plurality of Republicans oppose invading Venezuela. Only 31% of Republicans strongly support or somewhat support invading it. Okay. A senior Democratic staffer is discouraging Democrats from coming out against. So this is Ada Chavez tweets this out. So of course, Democrats are not screaming about Trump doing this because they serve the same donors that want Trump to do this. So this is all run by the economic hitmen in the United States. And they, through the deep state, which now Trump serves, he doesn't fight anymore. He's doing their bidding, covering up stuff, inflating their budgets, and overthrowing countries. And he's still funding the Ukraine war. And so the Democrats are now discouraging, the senior Democrats are discouraging other Democrats from coming out against what Trump's doing in Venezuela. So it's the uniparty. No matter who you vote for, you get John McCain. It's a Democrat John McCain, it's a Republican John McCain. The staffer is using the Bush-era Iraq line, arguing that opposing Trump and Rubio's regime change amounts to supporting Maduro.
If they touch Venezuela, they touch us, and it will be. If they touch Venezuela, they touch us, and it will be time once again to unite in a single united liberating army of South America to face any imperialist aggression.
Don't tell anyone. Let it stay here between us. Messages that arrive
from military ranks of nearby borders of our South America. Messages of admiration from uniformed and armed military personnel of our America, of our South America, who tell us if they touch Venezuela, they touch us. And it will be time once again to unite in a single united liberating army of South America to face any imperialist aggression.
Not only the direct public messages that brave governments of the world dare to give, which are quite a few, of support, Tivo.
Governments that are great powers in the world, like China, Russia, India, and the governments of the BRICS have given absolute support to Venezuela in its fight for peace and against U.S. aggression.
But also brotherly governments like that of Colombia, like the Caribbean governments, the Mexican government, and multiple governments in Africa, Asia that have taken a brave stance on the struggle of our country.
They have tried to accuse, even in a vulgar manner, the United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio with his indecency and immorality has said that the barracks in Venezuela are the epicenter of drug trafficking. As the constitutional commander-in-chief of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, I reject and condemn the statements of Marco Rubio and defend the morality of our soldiers in Bolivar,
in Sucre, in Zamora, and in Chavez.
I can say 7 weeks after this vulgar false narrative, after this threat ambush, after this psychological war, Venezuela today has more power to defend itself. Venezuela today is firmer, fuller, more united than ever. We have generated a powerful national union. That today the choice is not between homeland or death, it is between independence or colony, between slavery and free peoples. And I can assure you, with my life and the life of an entire country, we will never be a backyard, a colony, or a slave to any supremacist empire. Neither today nor tomorrow nor ever slaves or a colony of anyone.
What's up, guys? Dabu7 back at you. Some updates here. We've had this big meeting go down that I told you about that Hegseth was having with troops and all the generals. Well, apparently they put out a few little clips showing kind of what they were talking about in there, but it's like throwing a bone to a dog, you know, for the people out there to chew on, because the real stuff is never shown on camera. And you still got to speculate and wonder what's going on. Well, what we do know, what they're putting out here, is that Hegseth is saying that we've got to prepare for war. And he's doing it with urgency, and an urgency that they say that they've never seen before. And it just leaves us to speculate what was talked about behind the scenes while the cameras are off, and the real deal for why they were all called there. But they just showed us a little piece. And they were there for quite some time talking about all types of stuff, which will remain classified and hidden. But to call all these people in has people raising serious questions. And for him to come out and state that we need to prepare for war, everyone's like, what war? Like, what do you mean? Like, we're involved in wars all the way around the globe. And he's saying we're shifting all this in a brand new strategy. We're shifting everything over to the home front in the Western Hemisphere. So he's saying that we need troops, we need ammunition, we need this, we need these things, we need it all. And it's like, hold on, what's going on here? Like, what's about to pop off? Well, I've been warning you, and it's pretty obvious when they're stationed with warships all around Venezuela, Latin America, Mexico. They've yet to even really start striking. and he's acting like, the war's coming here to us, and that we must prepare. So that's what I've seen out of all this. Join me on the live stream where I can break this